The United States has offered forensic and investigative assistance to Pakistan after the attack at the airport, and US drones are once again targeting militant hideouts, marking the return of the CIA-led program after 6 months. For more on the attacks carried out by the Pakistani Taliban and the response by the government, we're joined by Raza Rumi, a Pakistani policy analyst and journalist. Also with us here in Washington, Shuja Nawaz, the director of the South Asia Center at the Atlantic Council, and from Islamabad, Pakistan, Mubashir Zaidi, who is an investigative journalist. Gentlemen, good to have all of you here. This was a very high-profile attack on Karachi airport. Dozens of people killed, as we've been reporting. There was also another attack in Pakistan, in Balochistan, which claimed the lives of at least 30 people. Raza Rumi, you have written that Pakistan is under attack. In fact, you said it's an understatement to say that Pakistan is under attack. How serious is the threat?
Well, as you said, it is quite evident that the militants have the capacity to breach very heavy security protocols and enter the international airport and come as close to a few yards from planes on the runway, and which basically shows that their outreach, their local intelligence sources, their capacity to make inroads is huge. And, there have been attacks. This is the sort of high-profile attack, but there have been attacks immediately after the airport one, where they managed to kill 4 security personnel in the northwest of the country, and earlier about 30 pilgrims in Balochistan in southwest. So all of them happened in a spate of 24 hours, which basically shows that, they also have the ability to launch multiple attacks at the same time. And that's the sort of achievement of terrorism, is that, it creates panic and spreads a kind of fear and a sense of insecurity.
Right, okay, let's go to Mubashir in Islamabad. Mubashir, what is the government saying about this attack? How are they responding?
Well, I think they were taken by surprise, because this government had been insisting that they're willing to give peace a chance, and they've been bowing before the Taliban over peace talks and others. But now the attack on Karachi airport, which is Pakistan's biggest city and Pakistan's biggest airport, has proved now that this so-called peace initiative is not going to last long. And we are entering the final phase of the battle between security forces and Taliban extremists. And Karachi, being the biggest city and has many sleeper cells of the militants, so what we would be witnessing now is a bloody round of clashes between militants as well as security forces, as both sides are now going to adhere to measures which were before the positions that they had taken before the ceasefire.
Shuja, what kind of message does an attack like this send to the Pakistani government, not just the Pakistani government, indeed to the rest of the world?
Well, this is not the first time that this message is being delivered. There have been numerous messages. The trouble is that the return addresses are very different. There are many different groups that are operating. Some of them are networked, others are acting reasonably independently. So even the attacks that took place on this particular day, the one in Karachi was, the credit was taken by the TTP, but the attack near the Iranian border was a sectarian attack, most probably launched by another group from the Punjab, the Lashkar-e-Jhangvi, which has been most used by the Sunni extremists to attack Shia. So there have been different groups, and the government's approach of opening talks with the TTP assumed that even the TTP was a single cohesive entity, which it is not, and that those talks were solely focused on the border region, the federally administered tribal area. No mention was made of Karachi, no mention was made of the Punjab or Balochistan. So what is lacking is a clear aim, a strategic aim for the government on what it wants to achieve through these talks, knowing that they're dealing with many different entities.
Raza, the government has been talking to the Taliban since February, well, formally talking to the Taliban since February. Would it be fair to say right now that they've got nowhere with that and the talks are actually doing nothing?
Yeah, the talks actually almost failed nearly a fortnight ago. But there still is a strong opinion within Pakistan that a bloodshed battle should be avoided. But the problem is that the more time you give to these groups, then the more time they have to regroup and get more supplies, recruit more people, and launch fresh attacks. But still, I think as a cohesive sort of approach to countering terrorism, talks are a part of that approach. You do strike at certain targets, and then you do talk to people who want to give up arms and are willing to negotiate for reintegration or some sort of coming back to a normal life. But I think in this particular case, what we also face is that in Pakistan, there's a lack of consensus, between various actors, between the civil, military, sort of decision makers as to how are they going to tackle this. The military wants to go ahead with a operation and strike at these terror networks, but the civilian political leaders are a bit careful because they are concerned about the blowback or the reprisal attacks that may take place once these operations are launched.
Good. Mubashir, here's a question that many people will be asking, not just in Pakistan, but indeed in other parts of the world as well. How did a group like the Taliban get into the airport, which is a secure zone? It's an important complex in the country, and they got in there with heavy weapons, heavy ammunition.
Well, I think, yes, that is the most worrisome part of this attack, because everyone is suspecting that there is an inside information which has led to, someone has facilitated within the airport authority to let them enter into the runway, which, as Raza told you, is a high security zone. So expecting a group of 10 militants to enter the airport and get to the runway is unimaginable. But it means, as Raza was saying, as Shuja had pointed out, that here in Pakistan, the opinion is still very much divided about Taliban. Although the anger against Taliban has been growing for months now, but still the narrative that the government is making is that these militants are our own people and we should give them one last chance, and let's talk to them and let's find out some peaceful means. Resolution to this issue. But unfortunately, attacks are happening every day, and this Karachi attack was the most gravest in recent times, and being on the international airport makes it more grave. So the situation on the ground is that military and civil government are still debating on to come to a consensus over how to go about an operation, whether to continue reactionary raids into the militant hideouts, or to do a final full-fledged operation into North Waziristan, which is the hub of these militants.
So, Shuja, we have a situation here where the civilian government wants to talk to the Taliban, as we've just heard, to resolve this. You've got the military government, which wants to seek, at least the military part of the country, which wants to seek a military solution to this. I mean, those are two very big different approaches.
They are, but I'm not quite sure if the military has a very clear view either on this. I think they would want both to talk and to launch an action if that's needed, but they want coordination. There needs to be coordination, and there isn't civil-military coordination. That's been missing from this piece. Also, an attack in North Waziristan, though desirable, will not end the situation, because there are 5 million Pakhtun in Karachi, more than in Fatah. And so Karachi is now as much of a hideout for them and a base for them as Fatah is, and they have much more freedom of movement in Karachi, plus there are no drones over Karachi. So these are all issues that can only be tackled if there is very clear consensus among the leadership, and it is socialized among the opinion leaders, civil society in Pakistan. Nobody has made the case to the people of Pakistan that this is, as Raza has put it, and a number of others have put it earlier, this is the battle for Pakistan. It's not the battle for North Waziristan.
What about the point that Raza made, that even if you do have a clear military plan to resolve this, that there could be a backlash against civilians?
There will be. There definitely will be, because the advantage that these groups have is that they have bases all over the country, and they're the ones that are picking the targets. The government, the military will always be on the back foot. They'll be reacting. What you need is a much more proactive strategy that addresses the ideological underpinnings of this militancy and violence, it looks at the educational setup. There's nothing that's being done in those areas. There's been no investment in education, no investment in improving the lives of people. If this continues, then the violence is going to spread even further. And I'm afraid Karachi is just the first of many attacks that's likely to happen.